I'm sitting in my small apartment, watching a video of my daughter accepting an award. She's on stage in front of hundreds of people, beautifully dressed, confident, successful. She's talking about her journey, her accomplishments, her rise to the top of her field. She thanks her mentors by name, her colleagues, her husband, her team. She lists everyone who helped her get where she is today, everyone who supported her, everyone who believed in her. She doesn't mention me once, not once. In a 10-minute acceptance speech about her success, about how she got here, about who made her who she is, my name never crosses her lips. I was supposed to be at that ceremony. She sent me an invitation 3 months ago. I marked it on my calendar, bought a new dress with money I couldn't really spare, was so excited to see my baby girl receive recognition for everything she'd worked for. But 2 weeks before the event, she called, "Mom, I'm really sorry, but there's been a change with the seating. The venue is smaller than we thought. My company only gave me a limited number of tickets. Marcus's family is coming, his parents and his brother. There just isn't room. Maybe next time." There's always a next time that never comes. 25 years ago, I was standing on a similar stage, about to accept a partnership at one of the most prestigious law firms in the country. I was 32 years old, the youngest woman they'd ever considered for partner. My career was everything I'd worked for since law school, everything I'd dreamed of. My name was about to go on the wall. My future was set. Success, prestige, financial security, everything was right there within reach. Then I found out I was pregnant with Emma. I had a choice to make, the partnership or motherhood. In reality, I could have done both. Other women did. But I didn't want to be an absent mother. Didn't want nannies raising my children. Didn't want to miss bedtimes and first words and all the small moments that make up a childhood. So I made a choice. I walked away from the partnership, from the prestige, from the 6-figure salary, from the career I'd spent a decade building. I chose my children, chose to be present, chose to be the kind of mother who was there for everything, who never missed a moment, who put her kids first, always. Now my children are the ones with prestigious careers, with awards and recognition, with the success I gave up so they could have everything. And they're too busy to call, too busy to visit, too busy to include me in their lives. I chose my children over my career, and they chose their careers over me. Let me tell you about the choice I made, and the choice they made in return. I graduated top of my class from law school, had offers from 6 different firms, chose the most competitive one, the one with the best reputation, because I wanted to be the best, wanted to prove that a woman could make it in a field that was still dominated by men. I worked 80, sometimes 90-hour weeks, took every case they offered me, said yes to everything. Weekends, holidays, middle-of-the-night emergencies. I was all in, completely committed. By the time I was 30, I was being fast-tracked for partner. My supervising partner told me I had what it took, that I was exactly the kind of attorney they wanted representing the firm, that if I kept up the pace, kept delivering results, I'd make partner by 32, youngest woman ever in the firm's history. I met Richard at a firm event. He was a client, a successful businessman with his own company, charming, intelligent, ambitious like me. We understood each other. Both of us were workaholics. Both of us were driven. Both of us wanted to be at the top of our fields. We started dating. Got married within a year. It was a partnership in every sense. 2 people climbing their respective ladders together. We talked about kids eventually. Someday, but someday felt far away. We were both so focused on our careers, both building our futures. Kids could wait. Then, at 31, I found out I was pregnant. We hadn't been trying, hadn't been preventing either, just not thinking about it. But it happened. And once the shock wore off, once we processed it, we were happy. Excited even. Scared, but excited. You can do both, Richard said when I expressed concerns about the partnership. Women do it all the time. Career and family. You're smart enough, organized enough, you'll figure it out. I wanted to believe him. I looked at other women at the firm who had kids. They made it work. Long hours, Yes. Nannies and daycare. Yes. Missing some things. Yes. But they were successful mothers and successful attorneys. I could do that too. Emma was born 2 months before my partnership ceremony. Beautiful, perfect, healthy. I took 6 weeks of maternity leave, the bare minimum the firm allowed. Came back exhausted, overwhelmed, but determined. We hired a full-time nanny, Mary, kind woman in her 50s who'd raised 4 kids of her own. She'd watch Emma while I worked. The partnership ceremony happened right on schedule. I stood on that stage, accepted the recognition, smiled for photos. But I felt hollow. Because that morning, Emma had smiled at me for the first time. A real, genuine social smile. And I'd missed it. The nanny had texted me a photo. Emma smiled today. I was in a meeting. Saw the photo on my phone. My baby's first smile, and I wasn't there. I was in a conference room arguing about contract language. But I told myself it was okay. That I was providing for Emma. That financial security mattered. That I was setting an example. That I could do both. Be a partner and a mother. Quality time over quantity. The guilt ate at me anyway. I'd leave for work before Emma woke up. Come home after she was asleep. Mary would send me photos and videos throughout the day. Emma rolling over. Emma laughing. Emma reaching for toys. I was watching my daughter grow up through a screen, through text messages, through secondhand updates. When Emma was 10 months old, she got sick. Just a bad cold, but she was miserable. Crying constantly. Mary called me at work. She won't stop crying. Won't take her bottle. She just wants to be held. I was in the middle of a deposition. Critical case. Millions of dollars on the line. Can you just do your best? I'll be home as soon as I can. I got home at 9 that night. Emma was finally asleep, exhausted from crying all day. I stood over her crib and cried too. My baby had needed me and I wasn't there. I'd chosen a deposition over comforting my sick child. That's when I started questioning everything. Was this what I wanted? Was this the kind of mother I wanted to be? The kind who only saw her child on weekends, who missed every milestone, who let strangers raise her baby. Then I found out I was pregnant again. Emma wasn't even a year old yet. I was terrified. 1 baby with my schedule was already impossible. How would I manage to? The twins, Noah and Sophie, were born when Emma was 18 months old. They came 6 weeks early, spent 2 weeks in the NICU, hooked up to machines and monitors. I took my maternity leave, spent most of it in the hospital with my premature babies. Came home exhausted, went back to work exhausted. Now we had 3 children under 2 years old. 3 babies who needed attention, love, presence. We hired a second nanny, 1 for days, 1 for nights when I had late meetings or court appearances. Our children were being raised by paid help, while Richard traveled constantly for his business, and I worked ridiculous hours at the firm. I started having panic attacks, would wake up at 3 in the morning, heart racing, feeling like I couldn't breathe, thinking about everything I was missing. Emma's first words that I hadn't heard. The twins learning to crawl while I was in court. Bath times and bedtime stories, and all the small precious moments that I was trading for billable hours and client meetings. I started seeing a therapist. Tried to talk through the guilt, the stress, the feeling that I was failing at everything. Being a mediocre mother and a mediocre attorney because I couldn't fully commit to either. The therapist asked me a question that changed everything. If you could design your perfect life, what would it look like? Without considering money or expectations or what you think you should want. What would you want? Without hesitation, I said, I'd be home with my kids. Then why aren't you? Because I worked so hard for this career. 10 years of education and building my reputation. I can't just throw it away. I can't just quit. Can't or won't. And whose definition of throwing away are you using? I didn't have an answer. That conversation haunted me. Whose definition was I using? Society's. The firm's. Some internalized belief that if I stopped working I'd be wasting my potential, betraying feminism, letting down all the women who fought for me to have opportunities. But what about my children? What about the 3 babies who needed their mother? What about me? What about what I actually wanted instead of what I thought I should want? I talked to Richard that night, told him I wanted to quit, to stay home with the kids, to actually be their mother instead of a woman they saw for an hour before bed. He was supportive but concerned. We'll lose your income. That's going to make things tight. Your income is enough. We'll have to adjust, cut back, but we can do it. Are you sure? You worked so hard for this. You're a partner. That's huge. Most people would kill for your position. I know, and maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'll regret it. But right now, in this moment, I know I can't keep doing this. I can't keep missing their lives. I can't keep being present for everyone except the people who matter most. I gave my notice 2 weeks later. The firm was shocked. My colleagues thought I was insane. Some were supportive, happy for me. Others acted like I was betraying something, like I was wasting my education and talent, like choosing to raise my own children was somehow less valuable than representing corporate clients in contract disputes. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The first few months of being a stay-at-home mother were hard. Really hard. I went from high-powered attorney to someone covered in spit-up and changing diapers. From wearing suits and arguing in court, to wearing yoga pants and singing the wheels on the bus 40 times a day. It was a massive adjustment, but I got to see everything. Emma's vocabulary exploding. Noah and Sophie learning to walk. All 3 of them growing and learning and becoming little people with personalities. I was there for all of it. Every tantrum, every triumph, every ordinary, extraordinary moment. I threw myself into motherhood the way I'd thrown myself into my career. I was the room mom, the soccer coach, the one organizing playdates and birthday parties. I helped with homework, drove them to activities, made elaborate Halloween costumes, volunteered at school. I was present for everything. Richard's career continued to grow. He traveled more, worked longer hours, made more money. We were financially comfortable. The kids went to good schools, had opportunities. We could afford nice things, nice vacations. But Richard missed most of it. He was the weekend dad, the one who'd show up tired and distracted when he was home. I told myself it was okay, that having one parent fully present was better than both of us being absent, that I'd made the right choice, that this was what mattered. The kids thrived. Emma was brilliant, ambitious, driven, got into a prestigious college, studied business, wanted to conquer the world. Noah was more creative, sensitive, went to art school, wanted to be a filmmaker. Sophie was the achiever, like I'd been, wanted to be a doctor. All 3 of them were smart, capable, successful. I was so proud. So incredibly proud. Proud of who they'd become. Proud that I'd been there for all of it. That I'd chosen presence over prestige. That I'd given them a childhood where at least one parent was always available. When Emma graduated college and got her first job at a Fortune 500 company, she called me so excited. Told me about her salary, her office, her responsibilities. I was thrilled for her. I'm going to be so busy, Mom. This is going to be intense. Long hours, high pressure. But I'm ready. I know you are, sweetheart. You're going to be amazing. Thanks for everything, Mom, for always being there, for supporting me. I know you gave up a lot for us. I didn't give up anything. I chose you. That's different. After that conversation, something shifted. The calls started coming less frequently. Once a week became once every 2 weeks. Then once a month. Emma was busy, working 60, 70-hour weeks, networking, building her career, climbing the ladder. I understood. I'd been there once. But understanding didn't make it hurt less. Noah moved to New York for a film program. Said he'd call regularly. Did for a while. Once a week at first. Then once every 2 weeks. Then once a month. He was busy creating, networking, building his portfolio, making connections, living his dream. Sophie got into medical school. I was so proud, but medical school was consuming. She barely had time to eat, let alone call home. I'd text her. She'd respond days later. Busy. Talk soon. Soon rarely came. Richard and I were empty nesters. The house felt enormous and silent. I tried to adjust. Tried to figure out who I was without kids to take care of. Tried to remember what I'd liked to do before I became someone's mother. I called the kids regularly. Left voicemails. Hi honey, just checking in. Call me when you can. Love you. They'd text back hours or days later. Sorry mom, crazy day. Love you too. Weeks would go by between real conversations. Emma got promoted. Big promotion. Moving up fast in her company. I found out on LinkedIn before she told me. Saw her post about it. Congratulating herself. Thanking her mentors, her team, her boss. No mention of me. When she finally called to tell me, days later, I tried not to sound hurt. Congratulations, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Mom. It's been insane. So many late nights, but it's worth it. I remember those days. Do you ever miss it? Working. Sometimes. But I don't regret my choice. Being there for you kids, that was more important to me. Yeah. Pause. Listen, I have to jump on a call. I'll try to call you next week. The call lasted 4 minutes. Noah had his first gallery show. Big deal in the art world. I asked if I could come. Offered to fly to New York. It's kind of an industry thing, Mom. Mostly for buyers and critics. Probably not that interesting for you. But I'll send you photos. He sent 3 photos. None of them showed his face. Just his artwork on walls. I wasn't there to see my son's big moment, because it was an industry thing. Sophie matched into her residency program. Competitive program. Huge accomplishment. I found out from her Instagram post before she called me. When I did talk to her, she was exhausted. Residency is brutal, Mom. 80-hour weeks. I'm barely sleeping. I'm so proud of you, honey. When can I come visit? I could help. Cook for you. Do laundry. Take care of you a little. That's sweet, but I'm managing. And honestly, my schedule is so crazy I wouldn't have time to visit even if you were here. Let's plan something when things calm down. Things never calmed down. I started to realize something painful. My children had learned from watching Richard, not from me. They'd seen their father succeed by working constantly, by prioritizing career over family, by being absent but successful. And they'd learned that success meant being too busy for relationships, that career should come first, that the people who love you will understand when you don't have time. I'd modeled the opposite. I'd shown them that family was more important than career, that being present mattered, that relationships were worth sacrificing for. But they hadn't learned from my example. They'd learned from his, from the world around them, from the culture that celebrates busy and successful over present and connected. The calls became less frequent. Once a month became every few months. I stopped being a priority, became an obligation, something they'd check off a list when they remembered. Called Mom, done. Richard died suddenly when I was 58. Heart attack in his office, just collapsed. Gone before anyone could do anything. The kids came home for the funeral. Stayed 3 days. Then went back to their busy, important lives. Emma had a critical project at work. Noah had a show opening. Sophie was in the middle of an important rotation. They couldn't stay longer. They had responsibilities. I understood, or I tried to. After they left, I was alone in that big house, grieving my husband, missing my children, wondering what the point of all my sacrifice had been. I'd given up my career for them, given up money and prestige and professional success so I could be present, so I could raise them myself, so they'd have a mother who was there for everything. And they'd grown up to be exactly like their father, successful, busy, absent from the people who loved them. I called Emma one day, a few months after Richard died, told her I was lonely, that the house felt too big and empty, that I missed having people around. Maybe you should downsize, Mom. Get a condo or an apartment. Join some clubs. Meet people your age. I was thinking maybe I could come visit you for a while. Stay with you and Marcus. Help around the house. Just be near you. Long pause. Mom, we don't really have space. Our place is pretty small, and we're both working crazy hours. You'd be alone all day anyway. I just want to see you, I know, and we'll plan something soon. Maybe you could come for Christmas. Christmas was 9 months away. I hung up feeling worse than before I'd called. That night I lay in bed, unable to sleep, thinking about the choice I'd made 25 years ago, walking away from the partnership, from my career, from my identity as an attorney, for them, and they didn't have time for me, didn't make me a priority, didn't even think about me unless I reached out first. I started wondering, what if I'd made the other choice? What if I'd stayed at the firm, stayed partner? Would they love me less? Would I see them less than I do now? I barely saw them anyway. At least I'd have a career, an identity, a purpose, something that was mine. People who valued me for what I contributed, not just for what I'd given up. I sat at my kitchen table and cried. Not just for Richard, but for myself, for the woman I'd been, the attorney who'd worked so hard, who'd earned that partnership, who'd had ambitions and dreams beyond being someone's mother. I'd thought choosing my children was choosing myself, choosing the life I wanted. But maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe I'd chosen what I thought I should want instead of what I actually wanted. The next morning, I made a decision. A crazy decision maybe, but one that felt right. I called my old law firm, asked if they were hiring, explained I'd been a partner there years ago, that I'd left to raise my kids, that my kids were grown now and I wanted to work again. They were interested, surprised, but interested. They brought me in for interviews. Multiple interviews. Met with partners I'd worked with decades ago. Some had retired. Some were still there. They remembered me, remembered my work, my reputation. They offered me a position, not partner. I'd have to work my way back up. Start as senior associate. Prove myself again after being gone for so long. But it was something, a chance. At 58 years old, I went back to work as an attorney. It was hard at first, really hard. The law had changed. Technology had changed. I had to learn new systems, new procedures, new ways of doing everything. I felt old and out of touch and incompetent. But the skills were still there. The analytical thinking, the ability to argue, the understanding of how law worked. It came back, slowly at first, then faster. I threw myself into work, the way I'd thrown myself into motherhood. Completely, fully, all in. And I loved it, loved feeling competent. Loved having colleagues who respected me. Loved having something that was mine. Not my children's, not my late husband's. Mine. I worked hard, really hard. Got a reputation quickly. The partner who'd come back after decades away and was still sharp, still good. Within 2 years, I was being considered for partner again. The kids barely noticed. I'd tell them about my work, about cases I was working on, about the possibility of making partner again. They'd say, "That's great, Mom," in the same distracted tone they used for everything. "Are you happy?" Emma asked once. I am really happy. For the first time in years, I feel like myself again. That's good. You deserve to be happy. But she didn't ask what was making me happy. Didn't ask about my work in any detail. Just generic support. Check the box. Move on. When I made partner at 61, the firm threw a ceremony. Invited clients, colleagues, families. I was one of the oldest new partners they'd ever had. But I'd done it. 26 years after walking away from it, I'd earned it back. I invited my kids, sent formal invitations, called each of them personally, told them how much it would mean to have them there. This was a huge moment for me. Recognition of my work. Proof that I was more than just someone's mother. That I had value. That I'd accomplished something. Emma said she'd try to make it. She was in the middle of a big merger at work. Really bad timing, but she'd try. She didn't come. Sent flowers with a card. "Congratulations, Mom. Sorry I couldn't be there. So proud of you. Love, Emma." Noah said he wanted to be there, but he had a gallery showing in Los Angeles the same weekend. His first West Coast show. He couldn't miss it. But he was proud of me. Sophie promised she'd come. I was so relieved. At least one of my children would witness this moment. Would see me succeed at something that was mine. The day before the ceremony, Sophie called. She sounded stressed, apologetic. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I got pulled into an emergency situation at the hospital. I have to stay. I can't come. Sophie, this is really important to me. I know, and I feel terrible. But this is my job. I can't just say no. Patients need me. What about what I need? Silence. Then, quietly, what's that supposed to mean? Nothing. It's fine. Good luck with your patient. I hung up before she could respond. The ceremony happened. I stood on that stage, accepted the partnership for the second time in my life, looked out at the audience. I saw colleagues, clients, friends I'd made at the firm over the past 2 years, not a single one of my children. The children I'd given up this same opportunity for 26 years ago. The children I'd sacrificed my career to raise. They couldn't take one day, one single day, to be there for me. After the ceremony, one of my colleagues came up to me. Older man, kind eyes. I'm sorry your family couldn't make it. They're busy. Important careers, I understand. Do you? Because you look heartbroken. I was absolutely heartbroken. That night, alone in my condo, I looked at the flowers Emma had sent, read the card from Noah, checked my phone for any message from Sophie, beyond the apologetic text from yesterday. Nothing more. And I realized something devastating. I'd taught them that careers didn't matter as much as family. That success wasn't worth sacrificing relationships for. I'd modeled that, lived it, preached it. But they'd learned from what they saw around them, not from what I taught. They saw their father succeed through absence. Saw him praised and respected and rewarded for prioritizing work. Saw his career valued by society, while my choice was seen as quaint, old-fashioned, a waste of my education. They'd learned that career comes first. That being busy means being important. That the people who love you will always be there, so they can wait. That presence is optional but success is essential. I'd been the one who was always available, always there, always waiting. And they'd learned that meant I'd always wait. That I'd always understand. That I'd always be last on the priority list, because I'd always be there. I chose my children over my career. I thought I was teaching them about priorities, about what mattered, about love and sacrifice and being present. Instead, I taught them that I was disposable, that my dreams didn't matter, that I was content to be in the background of their lives, supporting them, never asking for anything in return. And now I was paying the price for that lesson. After that partnership ceremony, something in me broke, or maybe it finally healed. I stopped calling my children as frequently, stopped being the one to always reach out, stopped organizing my life around their rare availability. I had my own life now, my own career, my own schedule, my own priorities. It took a few weeks for them to notice. Emma called. Hey Mom, I tried calling you yesterday. You didn't answer. I was in court. Oh, you were working. She sounded surprised, like she'd forgotten I had a job. Yes, I work full-time. Remember? Right. Sorry. I guess I forgot. Pause. So I wanted to talk to you about Thanksgiving. Marcus and I were thinking we'd do something low-key this year. Just the two of us. Kind of a quiet holiday. Okay? You're not upset. Why would I be upset? You're adults. You can spend Thanksgiving however you want. It's just, you usually host. You're always saying you want us to visit. I did want that. But I'm busy now too. I have my own life. If you don't want to spend Thanksgiving with me, that's fine. I'll make other plans. Long silence. Are you mad at me? No. I'm just not waiting around anymore for you to have time for me. I'm living my life. We hung up. She sounded confused. Unsettled. Good. The truth was, I wasn't mad. Not anymore. I was done. Done organizing my life around children who didn't organize their lives around me. Done being the backup plan. The one they'd see if nothing better came up. Done being treated like an obligation instead of a person. I started filling my life with other things, other people. I joined a professional women's group at the firm. Started going to networking events. Made friends with other attorneys. Started dating. Casually. Nothing serious, but it was nice. Being seen as a woman, not just as someone's mother. His name was Thomas. Divorced attorney from another firm. His kids were grown and distant too. We understood each other. Both of us had spent years putting our children first, being available, sacrificing. And both of us had been taken for granted. We'd have dinner after work, go to events together, take weekend trips. It was lovely, easy, no pressure. Two people who'd rediscovered themselves after decades of being defined by other people. The kids found out I was seeing someone. Emma called, sounding surprised and a little offended. "Mom, Sophie said you're dating someone. Is that true?" "Yes. Why didn't you tell us? I didn't think you'd be interested. You're all so busy with your own lives." "Mom, of course we're interested. You're our mother, and you're my children. But that doesn't mean my entire life revolves around you anymore. I have my own things happening, my own relationships, my own priorities. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you asked how I was doing? Really asked, and waited for the answer, and cared about what I said?" Silence. "Exactly. So yes, I'm dating someone. His name is Thomas. He's a good man, and I'm happy, whether you're interested or not." Things shifted after that. The kids started calling more, not constantly, but more. Started asking about my life, my work, Thomas. Actually listening when I answered. Emma invited me to an event. Actually made sure there was room for me this time. Actually cleared her schedule to spend time with me when I was there. Noah came to visit. Spent a whole weekend. We went to museums, had long talks, really connected. Sophie called on my birthday. Talked for over an hour. Told me about her life, her struggles, asked my advice, actually valued my opinion. It wasn't perfect. They were still busy, still prioritized their careers. But they were making more effort. Because I'd stopped making it easy for them to ignore me. Because I'd started valuing myself enough to require that they value me too. I didn't drop everything when they called anymore. Didn't rearrange my schedule to accommodate them. I had meetings, court dates, plans with Thomas, a life that didn't wait for them to remember I existed, and the relationship got better, healthier, because I wasn't resentful anymore. Wasn't sitting around feeling unappreciated. I was living, they were living, and we found ways to connect that didn't require me sacrificing everything. Last month, Emma called with news. "Mom, I'm pregnant." My heart swelled with joy and immediate concern. "Oh honey, that's wonderful. Congratulations." "Thanks. I'm excited but also terrified. Work is so demanding. I don't know how I'm going to do both." I thought about giving advice. Thought about telling her she needed to slow down. To choose her baby over her career. To not make the mistakes I'd made. But I didn't. "You'll figure it out," I said instead. "There's no one right way to do it. You have to decide what's best for you and your family." "Did you ever regret it? Giving up your career for us?" I was quiet for a moment, really thought about it. I regretted losing myself. I regretted not keeping some part of my identity separate from being your mother. That would have been healthier for all of us. But I don't regret the time I spent with you. I just wish I'd found a better balance. You're saying I should keep working. I'm saying you should do what makes you happy. What feels right for you. Don't sacrifice so much of yourself that there's nothing left. You can be a mother and a person. Both matter. Thanks, Mom and Emma. When the baby comes, I'll be here to help. But I'm not giving up my life to be a full-time babysitter. I'll help. But I have my own career now, my own life. I understand. And honestly, I respect that. I don't want my kid to have a grandmother who's just waiting around for us. I want them to see a grandmother who's living fully, who has her own identity, who's successful and happy. After we hung up, I sat with that conversation. She'd learned something, maybe not from my example years ago, but from seeing me now, seeing me reclaim my life, seeing me be both a mother and a person, seeing me put boundaries in place and still love them. Better late than never. I'm 63 now. A partner at a law firm I'm passionate about. Dating someone who makes me happy. Living in a condo I chose for myself. I have a full life that belongs to me. And I have children who are slowly learning that busy isn't the same as important. That success without connection is hollow. That career achievements matter, but so do relationships. They're not there yet. Still work too much, still prioritize wrong things sometimes. But they're trying, calling more, visiting when they can, including me in their lives in ways that feel real instead of obligatory. I don't know if they'll ever fully understand what I gave up for them, what it cost me to walk away from that partnership at 32, to spend 25 years being just their mother instead of a whole person. But I understand now. I understand that I didn't have to choose, that it was a false choice from the beginning, that I could have been both a mother and an attorney, that being present doesn't mean erasing yourself, that loving your children doesn't mean sacrificing your identity. I chose my children over my career. They chose their careers over me. And in the end, we both learned that neither choice was right, that life requires balance, that you can love your family and still have a life of your own, that presence and success aren't mutually exclusive. It took me decades to learn that lesson. Took losing myself and finding myself again. Took my children growing up and moving away. Took hitting rock bottom emotionally and building myself back up. But I learned it. And now I'm teaching it to my children. Not through sacrifice, not through martyrdom, but through living, through being whole, through showing them that you can be a mother, a professional, a person, all at once. Some days are still hard. Some days I still feel the sting of not being their priority. But most days, I'm okay. I have my work, my friends, Thomas, my hobbies, my life, and I have my children. Not in the way I once hoped. Not with the constant contact and involvement I once craved, but in a way that's real, honest, based on who we actually are instead of who I wished they'd be. I chose my children over my career. They chose their careers over me. But in the end, we all chose ourselves. And maybe that's not the ending I would have written 25 years ago. But it's the one that's actually healthy, actually sustainable, actually real. I gave up my career to raise my children, believing presence was more important than professional success. But they learned from their father's example, from society's values, from a culture that celebrates achievement over connection. It took me becoming the person I'd sacrificed, building my own career again, stepping back from endless availability, to finally have a healthy relationship with them. The lesson isn't that I should never have chosen my children. It's that choosing my children doesn't mean erasing myself. I can be a mother and a person. Both matter. Both deserve space. Real love doesn't require one person to disappear so others can thrive. If this story resonated with you, subscribe. Tell me in the comments. Did you give up your career for your children, or are you trying to balance both? Share your experience, your regret, or your wisdom. Share this with someone who needs it. Maybe a mother who's lost herself in motherhood, or adult children who've forgotten to make time for their parents. Like if you believe in balance, in boundaries, in being whole instead of half, turn on notifications for more stories that matter. Thank you for being here. And remember, you can love your children and still have a life that's yours. Until next time.